Brad, what a quaff.
See Bonnie today?
Yeah.
What?
Bonnie got her
I
haircut,
wanted to
too.
go in her office and say, is Bonnie here?
She looks totally different.
Well,
What did she do?
She got
Just
all
short?
her hair
It's like
cut
a
off.
bob.
Yeah.
It's like short.
Short and straight.
Are we waiting for your engineer? Yeah, okay. Because we don't have a lot of housekeeping ahead of time, so we might just wait a few minutes before we start, I think. Okay, we're not, so.
Do we have any minutes? We don't have any minutes, do we? Okay. What's the solid waste regulation thing?
So,
Well, let's call the meeting to go order if we're going to do that, so.
I thought we were opened. No.
Nope,
They actually told me 7:30.
yeah, it is 7:30.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order of the January 26, 2016 Littleton Board of Health. So, administrative matters, board member reports?
Nothing.
I have a couple. The MRC will be having a free first aid CPR and incident command system training at Littleton PD on Thursday, the 28th, and then the following week, February 4th.
At the PD?
That is to be determined, that location, but the 28th is the PD. Community room.
Yeah, I just redid all my first aid and CPR certification, though they've changed it now for January, so.
are they gonna like notify the town staff and people about it, or is it just?
I think the fire department is doing it for the MRC insert volunteers, but I think anyone can go. I think it's a matter of contacting Scott and letting him know who wants to go. That's why I'm announcing it. But I didn't understand it was for, anyone would be excluded. But the purpose of it was to train the volunteers, but I think anyone can go.
There's going to be a limit to the number of people they're going to let in, though, so.
Yeah, so I think see Scott Wazinski, or call him.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything. Shelley, I've got the gentleman came in, he was complaining about trash one day, and we said we are going to send a letter to his neighbors. Any follow-up on that?
There was no trash when we went out and
All
looked.
right. Did we get a letter out to the, no? Okay.
No, because we went out and then Jim went out and the trash was gone,
All right,
so.
So hopefully it was a short-term item.
Yeah, so we'll just keep an eye on it, but,
Okay, we have no minutes. Correspondence?
nope.
Nope. Solid waste regulations.
So those were done, Bill, what, about 2 years ago?
Yep.
And then we sort of went nowhere with them. We didn't, follow up with sending the letters out to the haulers and this and that. So the highway department called a couple weeks ago just asking for a list of all the licensed haulers, and I'm like, we don't have one. So I guess we have to sort of bring that back to the surface and figure out who you're supposed to send these to, who's going to be in charge of doing all that.
So did we ever, we promulgated the regs, but we never put them in place.
Well, they're in place, but they're just.
But we never
No.
enforced them.
Right.
Or told anybody.
Right.
Have we, how long ago did we put them in place?
I'd say it was 2 years.
Yeah.
And because we were going to do it as a yearly thing, like send the letters out in January, and, we enacted them in, April or May, and then it just.
And what's the gist of the regulations?
Basically, it's to just keep track of who the licensed haulers are in town. It was more so to, if there were dumpsters that were, not being picked up, and it went back and forth on whether to, send the letters to the businesses as the people who were paying for the dumpsters, or whether to do it through the, the haulers. And then everybody kind of thought the haulers would be the better route to go, but I guess the question is, how do we know who the haulers are? How do we know who to send them to? And,
And is there a fee associated with it, or?
yeah, so there was like.
So
a
the only thing
yearly
I question
fee.
is, if we promulgated them 2 years ago and nobody's noticed, do we need them?
I think, for a little history here, I think it came into play, about 5 years ago when I was first on the board, and they were concerned that once we went to the pay-per-bag system, that people might be using dumpsters in lieu of going for the pay-per-bag. And honestly, no one really saw a great effect of dumpsters being increased, and that sort of was the genesis of it. So I think it's up to us if we want to pursue or if we want
So
to.
let's put that on the agenda, because I have no problem with regulating people when there's a need and there's some benefit, but if this was done due to a concern that never came about, and we promulgated them 2 years ago and haven't really done anything with them, and nobody's noticed, maybe we don't need to charge these people fees and send letters and do all that stuff. We'll put on the agenda, but to me, I'm questioning whether there's a need for these at all.
So then,
Or
I had
maybe-
sent out to,
Or maybe just a muted reg where we just sort of make sure certain things don't happen, and there's no fee and there's no permit.
Well, to
Because
me,
we-
it seems
we
we've
had-
already got the sanitary regs focused on dumpsters if they're overflowing and that sort of thing. What else would these do besides
Yeah,
that?
that's all I'm saying, is just focus it on
We've
that.
already got that,
In what piece?
state sanitary code.
Right. But do we want to add anything for our town? Would we want anything different? That's all I'm saying. If we did,
Have
we'll
we
keep
noticed
it.
any shortcomings that we weren't able to address with the state sanitary code?
I don't know.
I think the reason why we revamped these 2 years ago, they weren't invented 2 years ago. We just revamped them, rewrote them because there were some things that could be changed. And I think the main reason for having them is basically, correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley, I think is just so if there is a complaint or something, the Board of Health has some kind of authority to fix the situation. If you read them, it's not an easy thing to enforce, but at least, at the very least, if a copy of these was sent to each hauler, it would give them some parameters. The only issue I can remember coming up with was there's a town bylaw, and I don't even know if it's in our regulations or somebody else's, they're not supposed to pick up before 6 a.m.
right.
And we had some complaints about that. And if I wanted
That's in
to
the special select.
be that way, I could say it, because they're always picking up before 6:30 around my house. But like I said, most of these are there to use in case somebody comes in with a complaint. If somebody comes in with a complaint and we sit here and say, well, nothing we can do about it, it just,
Well, what sort of
Doesn't
complaints
look
would we
good.
try to control for? Because if it's
the
trash,
the locations of them, the overloading of trash.
that we have authority over.
The hours of pickup. I'm looking at them here, and there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages of them. And I don't disagree with it. A lot of them, I think, could be pretty much deleted totally. Another thing is the condition of the dumpsters. It's up to the hauler to maintain the dumpsters so that they're not, a bucket of rust sitting in somebody's yard, so that they don't attract rats and so on and so forth.
So if they attract rats and things, we have authority over that. What I'd suggest is, it seems like before we go forward and enact these, let's review them, because if they haven't been done in 2 years and we haven't noticed any problems or any complaints, before we enact them, let's at least go through them and see if the board believes there's still a need to do so. And so if
I
you
agree
could
with that.
put it on the agenda, distribute copies so we can have a fuller discussion. Again, I have no problem regulating things where there's a need, but you have enough to do without us putting. But if there's areas where we don't have authority, but most of what I've heard described, the state sanitary code picks up pretty clearly, just like that issue we have with the trash behind that apartment building.
Yeah. And I know we've gotten some calls about the pickup times in the building department, so, Roland.
When we look at the town regs, because I know the selectmen have a whole bunch of noise regs, I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's in there. If not, maybe that's something we
Yeah.
retain and.
Well, I know Roland's gone out, and usually the first call, he'll just go out and he'll just say, you can't have your dumpster picked up till 6 or 7 or whatever the time is, and then if, we get another call complaining, then he'll send the formal letter,
Yeah.
but for the most
So,
part, sometimes
interim,
it's
I'll-
just a new driver or something that doesn't know, and,
In the interim, I'll look up and see what's already on the books. If there's nothing, maybe that's something we want to consider retaining. That seems valid, and we have seen issues with that. But short of that, it sounds like most of the sanitary code, but let's review them and speak about it more fully.
So then the other thing is, so I had sent out the email about the next meeting, which would be scheduled for February 9th, but the people for that Fast Franks wanted to come, they have submitted some more information, and it was discussed that we wanted Jim at that meeting, and Jim wasn't available the 9th or the 5th, whatever. But he was available the 16th. So there was only one hearing scheduled for the 9th, so I contacted that engineer, and he was okay with moving his hearing to the 16th. So we're going to, and I checked with the board, and we had 3 people that would be available for the 16th. So we're going to move that meeting of the 9th. We won't have a meeting the 9th. We'll have the meeting the 16th, and then, if necessary, have one that following week.
So I'd spoken to Jim and asked him to be there, and we discussed that next, because,
So that
Yeah.
will be on, and then the engineer for Bennett Orchards is coming in for 14 of those lots, so we just won't have that February 9th meeting.
All right, I won't be at the February 25th meeting.
And there's a possibility that you won't even need it if, usually I know 10 days out from the meeting if there's any public hearings, and if there's not any, then because you're going to have one that 3rd week, you can just skip that one too.
Yeah, it's not a busy time of year, hopefully.
Take advantage of a couple off.
Yeah.
That's about all that's going on.
so do we want to adjourn the hearing until 7:30, the meeting until 7:30?
Yeah, that Fast Franks was originally on for 7:15,
Yeah.
otherwise.
Usually we have a full agenda, but
Yeah.
it's a slow time of the year for construction, so.
Town looks like it's getting pretty full.
Didn't we
The
edit
town looks
these
like it's
pretty
having a
well
lot of
when you
building
decided to
going
go?
on.
Yeah,
We
it's
chose
quite a bit.
you to go ahead and edit them, because Ted Doucette and I drafted the first draft, and they were too verbose, they were repetitive. Then you went ahead and consolidated them into like 2 or 3 pages.
Diane, if
Where-
this is an open board meeting, we really shouldn't be having side conversations. So if we want to adjourn and have it, that's fine, but
I thought we did adjourn
No.
for 15 minutes.
we didn't. So I asked if we want to do it, nobody said anything, so.
Okay, yes, I agree with that.
Okay, so if we're going to adjourn the meeting until 7:30, so.
So I thought that...
Careful.
So we're here tonight with 60 Dahlia Drive. It's up the top of the hill. It's basically fronted by Dahlia, Birch, and Washington. The Whitemans are in the process of selling the house. They've had a Title V inspection done. Failed the Title V inspection. So we've designed a new septic system. We're using the Presby. The existing system's here in the basically off of Dahlia in the same area that the proposed system's in. Septic tank, the existing tank is here. We're proposing to replumb the house, move the tank to the high side of the lot, basically so we can make it by gravity and keep the system in the ground, basically. So we are using the Presby, which allows for a 2-foot groundwater offset under state approval. So we're here to ask the board's permission to use the 2-foot groundwater offset with the Presby. We've got some breakout grading. It's kind of a steep slope along Dahlia here. We've got a poly liner 10 feet off the system in this corner. We've got fill within 10 feet of the lot line there, so we're asking for that variance. And then back to the tank, since we've relocated, there's not enough room to have it 10 feet off the house and 10 feet off the lot line, so we're basically 10 feet off the lot line, 8.5 off the foundation. So those are the 3 variances we're asking for.
Any questions? Nope. Discussion? Motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
I have to make the motion. I make a motion to approve the plan dated 1/11/16 for 60 Dahlia Drive with variances to allow 4 feet to 2 feet groundwater offset, 10 feet within a property line for the system, and the cellar wall offset for the septic tank from 10 feet to 8.5 feet.
Second. I beat you, Bill.
Be my guest.
Okay, any further discussion?
No. Good luck.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't say anything, you can have my candy now.
Thank you so much.
Gino, you gotta take the candy.
I have your paperwork.
You do? Okay,
Set. We
good.
didn't get it in the mail till Friday,
Oh,
so I
okay.
thought it better if we brought it here.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, but she's lost 25 pounds.
But you need to tell me when to sign it.
She's in love.
Park Road on. I'm gonna call you.
Would you, you're going to send that out for bid for it to the local, to the normal local folks?
Oh, I can't forget that, Gino, I'm getting home.
The other one we were
All right,
talking
that was
about.
quick and easy.
The shortest meeting in the
Did
board
you
of
guys
health
adjourn?
history.
Did you make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You sent.
I did.
Second, all right, just say
You
second.
can second.
No, I can't, actually, I can, but only.
I made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'd call Robin.
All right, all in favor, aye.
Yeah, put your house in.
Actually, so.